Welcome to Exploring the Mystical Side of Life with your host, Michelle Aubin and Linda Lang.
Welcome everyone to Exploring the Mystical Side of Life. My name is Michelle Aubin and I'm here today with Linda Lang. Hello, Linda.
Hello, Michelle. Hello, everyone.
So, Linda, what are we going to talk about today?
I have a great idea that I love to talk about, Michelle, and I'm just going to say it instead of giving it a whole long story to introduce it. I'd like to talk about support and how the universe has your back. Sometimes it's obvious and things work out really well, and sometimes it isn't quite so obvious, but when you can look back in hindsight, you can see the gifts that your experiences have brought you. So that's the topic for today, support from the universe.
It's a great topic. I've been thinking about this a lot in my own journey and how the things that I used to think of as problems have actually been catalyst towards expansion and healing. But I would love to hear your take on it and what is running through your mind today around this topic.
Well, there's a quote from an old book by Dan Milman, and the book was called The Life You Were Born to Live. It's a book on numerology. And I remember this quote because it was just, just really touched me. And in the book, it says that wherever you go, the path appears beneath your feet.
Right. Yeah.
It's like no matter how lost you think you are or you feel, there will always be some signs or direction, or something will come into your awareness that you can respond to help you get back on track. Whether it's an invitation or, maybe you see a job ad or something. I met my husband, speaking of how the universe has your back, and I put out to the universe that I wanted a boyfriend with a really easy last name, and I wasn't thinking about a husband at all. I think maybe we might even have talked about this before, but here, I met this fellow, and he actually happened to be the very first aura I ever saw. It was kind of a dusk, and
Yeah.
he had long hair, and here's almost like a golden aura, and I was like, who the heck is this, right? I was like 16 years old.
Oh, you were
I
16.
was
Wow.
16 when I first saw him, and then I think I actually probably met him when I was 17. But it was the universe, looking out for me. I feel that way with my jobs that I've had through my life, with my business, with even my health. And everyone knows that I've, had health challenges, but I was really guided on how to heal from them and to step forward. I know you have stories like that
Oh,
too,
yeah.
Michelle.
Well, you could even argue that your health story was a way to bring you into deeper trust of your intuition. And maybe you could have gotten there other ways, I don't know, but it served a purpose of waking you up to your own, trusting your own knowledge.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
And it isn't always easy, right?
no,
We're here in this life, and life does throw us curveballs, sometimes to test us or sometimes to really help us evolve and grow, or to even get us on the right track. But I think that it's a really healthy belief system to have if you know that, there is a purpose to everything and it's for your highest good, whatever that is.
And for people that are going through a situation where it's all hitting the fan, and I remember being in that situation, it rhymes with it. I remember hearing things like this and thinking, that's bull. That, to be frank, I would think that's bull. But part of my healing on all levels has been about coming to understand that my resistance to the gifts in any situation is what causes me the most pain. Yes, there's pain in being sick. Yes, there's pain in, I'm going through some interpersonal challenges right now with people in my life. But there is still growth there. That's what I am holding on to now, is what is the deeper insight of that challenge. And it's not always so clear in the moment, and that's okay. But I do think it is healthy, as you said. And I also I want to bring in like a little bit of a tangent. It's kind of a tangent, but it's related. I always talk about Abraham Hicks. They talk about your inner GPS. And I love that concept because the other thing I've learned in my life is that when I feel bad, it's a message from my soul to change direction or to change my attitude or to change my interpretation. When I feel good, it's a message to keep doing more of what I'm doing. And that doesn't mean that even within a situation that feels bad, that's bigger than me, we don't control everything in life. There's going to be challenges, but within that challenge, I have choices that feel better or worse. Does that make any sense?
It makes total sense.
It's very basic, but,
As a matter of fact, this morning, I woke up and I was lying in bed and I said to myself, I wonder what kind of magic I'll create today. And then I thought, wow, that feels really good. Instead of waking up and saying, oh my God, I have to, write this article and see this client and then this client and then blah, 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 blah. Instead of listing my to-do list in my head, I just left it up to the universe, and I still have my things that I have to do, but now I've opened that door to bringing some magic into it, or
that's
some
a great question.
Lightness. Absolutely. I was surprised, and I asked questions. I was surprised at how good it felt, and I was like, well, why don't I start every day like this?
Yeah. And for me too, when I have a long to-do list, I will say, how can I do this in a way that feels best? Or how can I do this with joy? And I wait for an answer, or I wait until I have that feeling. And that's my new kind of practice. But this idea isn't to say, there are things in life that are challenging. There are losses. There are things that people go through. This is not about saying life is always going to be easy. But within that, we have something guiding us. And it sort of, when this dawned on me, and when I really understood what the Abraham Hicks teaching was about, it makes perfect sense. The universe is designed to show us habits, actions, thought processes that are beneficial, and to give us signals plain as day when we're doing those practices that are not beneficial. Like the negative thought habits and grumbling. Well, if you do that long enough, you don't feel good. You feel cranky. Wow, I'm feeling cranky. I wonder why that is. How can I make that shift to feeling less cranky? It's so simple.
It is so simple, and what a fantastic support system, really.
Yes.
It
It's
it really
genius.
is just
It's
amazing.
genius. Yeah.
Available to everyone.
Yes. And there can, when you kind of understand that, like GPS and like what you did, you can start playing games with yourself around this and say, I wonder what I wonder what surprise will come my way today that will delight me. Or I wonder, like you can make up, there's no limit to what you can make up with this playfulness. Or, I'm going through a really rough time today. I wonder what's the best action or thought I could have right now, and ask ourselves that. It will reveal itself. I wonder what's the best way to take care of myself right now. I'm not feeling so great. I'm not feeling like I'm in the vortex. And ask for that shift. Something will happen to show you.
So, Michelle, you mentioned the vortex. Why don't you explain that for our listeners in case they don't know what the
Okay.
vortex is?
It's the Abraham Hicks concept that when you're in the vortex, you feel great. The vortex is the energy field where you're aligned with your best energetic self. We could call it higher self. You can call it soul if you want to. I don't know. You could just talk about the energy. The vortex is something that we know we're in the vortex when we feel great, in spite of what's happening around us in the world. Or
So, would you say it's kind of that kind of go with the flow state?
it's a flow state. It's not resistance. And when we're in the vortex, we are more magnetic to experiences that feel good.
Yes, I would agree with that actually.
Yeah.
And energy flows where attention goes, right? So if you're
Yes.
feeling good, that's what you're energizing.
If you're not in the vortex, usually you feel cranky, you feel like you're struggling, you might feel angry, you might feel depressed. Those are your inner GPS telling you we're not in the vortex. So,
How do you get in the vortex?
well, how do you get in the vortex? You notice when you don't feel good, and you do, usually it's thought patterns. It could be activities that feel good, right? So it sounds simple. It can feel, it's like when you're learning to surf. If I tell you how to surf, it doesn't mean you can surf, right? So when I was learning to get into the vortex more often, I would, and this all comes from Abraham, I would say, what is the thought I could have in this moment that will help me feel slightly better? And instead of going from here to here, I would say, how can I nudge myself to feel slightly better? Or is there an activity I could do that will help me to feel slightly better? And little by little, you nudge up your default vibrational state.
I think a really easy way to kind of shift your emotional state is through music by
Music is
listening
great.
to a
Yeah.
song that you really really love. I know that works instantaneously for myself.
And the music that I use a lot to shift my state is binaural beats and self-hypnosis audios and trance music, trance inducing, because when you shift from the beta to the alpha, you're going to feel better.
Yeah.
So if you don't know how to do it on your own, that's a great way to do it, where you just put the headphones on and give it time and your brain will shift.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, even, going on to YouTube and picking one of your favorite artists that you haven't heard
Yes.
a song from for a
Yeah.
long time, that can shift
Yeah.
things too.
That can do
Yeah,
that too.
it doesn't have to be a really difficult thing, but it can be if we want it to be, right?
Well, it doesn't have to be difficult, but when you're, and Abraham talks about this, there's a momentum to the direction you're flowing. So if you're in the negative, I recommend not criticizing yourself if you feel stuck, because that only feeds the negative, right? If you feel stuck, just say, okay, I don't know how to do this. The music can help. And any little thing like, just ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do in the next 5 minutes? It might be going outside and looking at the sky, something very small.
Or a walk through the forest.
But I didn't mean to cut you off, but once you get moving in the other direction, there's momentum in that direction, and it does become easier.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
there is a momentum sometimes. I just want to say that because when it's hitting the fan for people and this is new to them, I don't want you to feel like you're doing it wrong or that there's something, there is, it's like turning around the Titanic, and that's okay. Just keep turning it little by little. You'll get there.
Exactly. I was just going to very briefly mention that if tears come, just to let the tears come, because that is also a way to move the energy and release.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
And this is one of the old tricks from the 90s or the 80s.
Old. Yeah.
Good old affirmations. Write down some positive affirmations, and when you repeat them to yourself, at first they may not feel real, but if you do that enough, you're actually creating new pathways in the brain of positivity over time. They do work. You make a little statement that it can be slightly better than what you're telling yourself now. It doesn't have to be a big thing. I say old because it's sort of thinking about that Saturday Night Live sketch. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And gosh darn it, people like me. Remember that?
There you go. And you are, and they do. Yeah. There you go.
You too, Linda.
Fantastic. I think affirmations is an interesting topic, and maybe that'll be an interesting topic for another podcast.
Oh yeah, there's a lot we could talk about with affirmations. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. All right, everyone. I think our time is up for today, and it's been a pleasure chatting with you, Michelle. I hope everyone's
It's been a pleasure, Linda.
enjoyed. Very good. So we will see everyone again next time.
See you next time.